Everybody, you are watching this video because you do not need to revise your plate boundary comparison chart. I want to make sure that you guys have opportunity to move forward and you don't have to wait for everybody else. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to review key concept number 6. Remember, at divergent plate boundaries, rock rises from the mantle and it hardens, adding new solid rock to the edges of both plates. I'm going to ask you to consider sorry, and I'm not going to tell you, but by adding new solid rock to the edges of both plates, what landform does that make at divergent plate boundaries? So be thinking of that. And then key concept number 7, at convergent plate boundaries, one plate moves underneath the other plate and sinks into the mantle. And again, I want you to think that plate moving below, one plate moving below the other one, what landform does that create? So we have new evidence from Dr. Moraga. This is strong evidence that will help you determine how the plates move. There are 2 pieces of evidence. They're labeled A and B. Both of them are equally strong, and you need to use both of them to cite. You need to cite both of them in your argument. So I want to show you the front part of your page. I did this a little bit differently. Normally I have you guys write a paragraph, but I want to separate it a little bit. We're still using race, but I've given you prompts instead of having you write a paragraph. I want to make sure that everybody is understanding and just practicing really each of the different steps of race. So the question is, how did the South American plate and the African plate move? In other words, what direction did they move? So you're going to restate and answer the question. Once you discover what direction they move, please include not only the direction, but also the name of that plate boundary. That'll be in your restate and answer the question. In the cite and describe the most convincing evidence that you have to support your claim. This section, you are only describing the evidence that you see. So please tell me evidence A shows, and then describe that, summarize it. What information did you get from evidence A? And then evidence B showed, or evidence B was, and then describe that. That's it. Don't do anything else here. You're just citing your evidence. On the if you flip it over on the back side, this is where you're going to use reasoning, including the best key concept or concepts to explain why the evidence supports your claim. So once you decide which plate boundary it is, I want you to use the key concept that describes that plate boundary. And then think about the landform that would be found at that plate boundary. And so connect the dots for me, okay? That's using reasoning. In the middle of this page, it says, use evidence to explain why the claim that the 2 plates moved blank each other cannot be right. Whatever you use to answer the question, the opposite plate boundary is what you're going to put in that line, and then use that space below, cite the evidence again, or use key concepts and reasoning to explain why it could not be that plate boundary. And then lastly, we just have an ending statement. I just gave you a sentence starter, therefore. Just go ahead and restate and answer the question. Okay? So here we go. You are able to use your plate boundary comparison chart to help you interpret the new evidence. Everything that you need is on here. If you need to look at the key concepts, you can certainly do that as well. It may help you if you don't know your vocabulary terms yet. It may help you to look those up too and make sure that you understand what you're talking about. All right, so number 1, open today's folder in Schoology. In today's folder, you're going to see a folder, and the title is New Evidence. There's one PDF in there. It has 2 pieces of evidence, evidence A, evidence B. Really look at that. If you are not understanding what you're seeing in both evidence, what you're supposed to be seeing, and this is new evidence, it's not anything that we've seen before. So then come and talk to me. I don't want to tell you what we see because I'm trying to get you guys to be able to interpret your evidence. And then lastly, go ahead and use that worksheet. It's on my table, on the rolling table up at the front of the of the room, use that to write out your scientific argument. And this is going to be due on Wednesday. If you have any questions, you can ask me in class, okay?